Hello there guys, and welcome to this P3D video. We're currently situated at Catalina Island in the United States. Many of you have been asking me how do I pan in the 3D cockpit in Prepared and how do I create my cinematic sequences. And I'm using ChasePlane, which is the subject of our video today. And essentially what I'd like to show you is how to set up ChasePlane for P3D and some of its really cool features. For many years, I've been using Opus Live Camera, which is part of the Opus Weather Suite. And I have used EasyDock as well. I haven't used version 2, which was recently released. But ever since ChasePlane was released, I really felt that it is probably the easiest program to use to set up your views and to create very compelling cinematic sequences. It is feature rich, it is user friendly, and it is nicely designed. It's got a modern interface, and we're going to take a look in this video at some of the features and how to set it up for P3D. As you can see, the interface of ChasePlane is quite simple, and this is the first screen that you'll see once you've successfully installed ChasePlane and launched it into the sim. There is an option to launch Chase Camera with P3D, and we'll take a look at some of the preferences in just a minute. As you can see, it's got a modern interface. The navigation menu is quite intuitive, and it's self-explanatory in most cases. So this is the onboard presets. This is where we're going to be creating the internal views of our aircraft, and this is for the outside presets or the outside views, and this is also the static views. And this is something I really like in ChasePlane. It automatically scans your airport and it will show you the available runways and all the parking positions. And we'll take a look at this in a moment as well. The camera itself is very advanced, so you can pan and you can move forward or backward. You can move up and down. You can do lateral movements, and you can tilt, roll, and zoom. Once you're happy, you can create the view or the preset for your camera. The community section is still under development, and essentially it is going to be the venue for all of us to share our camera views with the community. Preferences is somewhere where I want to spend just a little bit of time in the camera. So you can enable the mouse view selector. You can enable track IR if you're using track IR. And then you've got all sorts of different options that you can set to your liking to fit your preference. The ones that I particularly like are pan and tilt on middle mouse hold. So my mouse has got a middle button, so I use it for two things. I use it to, if I click and hold, I can switch between the views, okay, and I can create new presets or update my presets. Or if you do a short hold, you can actually use it to pan around the aircraft. The other thing that I like in preferences is the pause turbulence on mouse move. So normally when you're up in the air and you're experiencing heavy turbulence, it would be very difficult to adjust your heading or altitude selectors, or perhaps program a waypoint into the FMC. So this feature allows ChasePlane to pause all the camera effects in terms of shake, so that you can do whatever you need to do. And then once you release the mouse, all the effects will come back. Very, very useful feature. All right, so cinematic mode is a mode that will create cinematic views of your aircraft. You can change the camera angle every 30 seconds. You can auto-enable this feature above 18,000 feet, and you can specify the time. So I have it now at 10 minutes. You can control the overall speed and the inertia of the camera in cinematic mode. And this will happen automatically. So there isn't anything you need to do other than set this to your liking, and it will pretty much do the magic. We'll take a look at the cinematic mode during the course of the video. Control assignment is where it can get a little bit confusing for you guys, and this is where I wanted to just kind of show you the basics of setting up your keyboard assignments. Now I have my numpads here for forward, backward, moving left and right, and I also have joystick assignments for the same movement. And I tend to use my joystick more than I use the keyboard. And let me just show you here. So if I use a numpad, now there is a problem, as you can see, there is this stutter when you use the keyboard, and I am not sure why, but it appears to be one of the known issues in ChasePlane, which is, by the way, still in alpha. But I normally use my joystick for these movements, and as you can see, the movement is pretty smooth, and there I can go up and down, and I can tilt. I can do all sorts of things, and this is normally what I use for P3D. And the way you do this is, let's say that you want to pan left. The only thing you need to do is go to button and click there, and just select the button. Just move your joystick button, and it says now this is of course already it's already selected, so we're just going to remove this. Okay. So as you can see, I can move using my joystick, I can move up and down, and I can also tilt. Okay, so very simple. Now for the keyboard assignments, what you need to do first is you need to delete any keyboard assignments that are already mapped in P3D to do something else. So if you go to Options, Settings, and then you go to Controls, as you can see here, let me just say mouse yoke or mouse look. Yep. So if I select the views, right? So you'll see that I have deleted anything to do with the numpads. Okay, so numpad buttons, all the mappings I've deleted. So this is how you set up your views. There are a few things that are very useful. So toggle the UI. I have the right bracket to bring up the ChasePlane interface, and then the onboard camera, outside camera, static camera. So I have the backslash and the asterisk and the minus sign on my numpad to do these, and I'll show you this in a minute. Toggle cinematic mode, I have letters C and X. So C will put you in cinematic mode, and X will create a new view. Let me show you this real quick. So if I click on C, now we are in cinematic mode, and let's say that I want to request a new view. I don't want to wait the I don't want to wait 30 seconds, so I click again, and now I have another view. So now that we're done with the assignment control, let's go ahead back here to the presets, and let me show you these static cameras that were created by ChasePlane. So as you can see, we are at Catalina, and there are two runways at Catalina, runway 4, runway 22. If I click on runway 4, it will take me right to runway 24, the beginning of runway 24, and then I can go to runway 22. I can go to the parking positions simply by clicking on the particular parking position here. Okay, so this is a very useful feature, especially if you want to do a replay of the aircraft while you're landing. It's very useful. Just set up the view here, and by the way, you can adjust this view, so you can go up, you can do whatever you want to do. As you can see now, I am moving the camera around and set up the perfect angle for your for your camera, and just simply save it. You can create a new preset if you want here, so I can just click on add to save a new preset, and I can say just add here, and I will say this is runway 22, hit enter, and I'm done. For easy access, you are able to move from the onboard camera, outside camera, and static camera simply by clicking on the tabs here. So we are now at the onboard camera, and what we're going to do now is we're going to move the view here a bit. So let's do this one here. And now to add a preset, the only thing you need to do is click here on Add, and now it displays the name of the aircraft, which is the A2AC-172. And as you can see here, it says notable features, it says wind turbulence disabled and engine blast turbulence disabled. And what I'm going to write here is just pilot view. Okay, as you can see now, we have the pilot view set up. Oh, there is our runway 22. Okay, so that's the view that we've created earlier. And this is now our pilot view, okay? Very well. So I think you need, if you expand this, you get all the preset positions. And if you click back on this, something new I've learned just now, now you get your views. So the pilot view, once you've created a view, there are a ton of features that you can set up for this particular view. And if you go to camera, now you can, of course, adjust the camera position. So let's say that, we want to bring it just a little bit forward. Okay. And now, as you can see, it says unsaved cam position. And if you click here, you are able to update the current preset to this particular position. Okay. So I'm just going to say yes. And now we've upgraded we've updated this camera preset to this position. Another thing that you can set up for your camera view is the turbulence. And there's, as you can see, many features that you can associate with this particular view. The human effect, the horizon, anticipation, and breathing. You can click on tune to even further adjust the pitch, the pan, and the roll for each one of these. Now, I'm not very proficient in this. So what I normally do is I just leave it as it is. And what I've noticed is that the effects are actually different from one aircraft to the other. So you will not get the same, slider position for all the aircraft. And as you can see here, the environmental for wind turbulence is not set up for this aircraft. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase it a bit here. And as you can see, you have very fine control, very granular control over everything to do with your view. If you don't want, for example, turbulence for any of your pilot views, you can disable all of them. You just move the slider down and then the turbulence will be completely disabled for this view. Advanced. Now, this is very interesting because this is where the speed and the inertia of the camera is set up. And this is something very useful. As you can see now, I'm moving the camera at a reasonably, fast speed. But you can change this from the ChasePlane menu. So I can set the speed to be just a little bit slower. So I'm going to set all of these down here. All right. And now, as you can see, the movement is much slower than it was. The inertia is something that has to do with, let me just show you. So without inertia, if I remove that speed, if I move the inertia completely from this view, you see how the movement is kind of abrupt, okay? And with the inertia back, now notice the movement, okay? So the movement is not as abrupt when you set and of course you can set higher values. It really depends on, your preference. And my recommendation is if you're creating a cinematic sequence, then to reduce your speed, okay, and leave the inertia where it is. Or you might actually just increase the inertia just a little bit to give it that, to make the movement of the camera as you move, you make the transitions very smooth. And I think some of you were asking me, how do I actually obtain that? So this is now how we create the the camera view. This is an onboard camera. Let's go ahead and create an outside view. So we're going to go here and let's go ahead and zoom in. And we're going to go down here. And as you can see now, the camera movement is pretty fast. And let's say that we want to create this particular view here. Okay. And I'm just going to say add. And I'm just going to call this left wing. All right. And now we have the left wing there. Let's go ahead and create another one. And this time we'll call it, let's say front. Okay, so we'll add one more view here and we'll call it front view. All right, and now you can cycle through these views. Now you can also set a button to move through the views with your joystick. So I have a button, a joystick button assignment, so that I can cycle through the views without having ChasePlane on. And this is particularly useful again when you're doing a cinematic sequence. So far we've created an external view, two external views, one internal view. Let's go ahead and create another internal view. And this time, let's go and set it right over here on our radios. Okay, I think that's good enough. Yep. And we'll say add, and we'll add the radios. Now, by the way, you don't really need to worry about writing A2A or Cessna 172 and then radios, because what ChasePlane will do, it will automatically detect the type of aircraft that is loaded in the sim. And this is noted down here. This is the A2A C172. So I can have as many presets as I want with the same named radios in different aircraft, and that it will not affect the naming convention, if you will. All right, and as you can see now, we have the left wing, we have the front view, we have a pilot view, and we have radios. We can cycle through them, okay? And we can also move the mouse in the cockpit the way we want. So I can now move in any direction that I want. I can pan in and out, I can zoom, I can tilt, you can do anything you want. Now let's suppose that while you're here, you wanted to update this preset. So we are in a pilot view. So what I can do, I can go to update preset, I can go to new preset, I can reset the camera, and I can open ChasePlane, obviously, which is already open, right? I can also go to the views that I've created here, okay? So I can go to the radios and I can go back to the pilot view. All right. Now here are the three buttons that I've set up, which is the /, the asterisk, and the minus sign on the numpad. And the first one will take me to the external view. The asterisk will take me to the internal view. And the minus sign is my sort of static camera, which is a free camera, and you can move it anywhere you want. So I think now it is time for us to fire up the aircraft and take a look at some of the cool features that ChasePlane brings onto P3D. All right, so let's go ahead and turn on our batteries, and we'll assume that we've done the walk around. Let's see here. The battery is on, rotating beacon can go on. And let's see here. All right, it'll crack the throttle and fuel pump on, mixture rich. All right, and then mixture to idle cutoff, fuel pump is off, and the alternator is on. Let's set the parking brake. Right, we have a good start on the engine. Not sure why the parking brake doesn't want to set. All right, so we have a good start on the engines. Let's turn on our avionics. So if I move the mouse, this is the feature that I've showed you in preferences, where if you move the mouse, there's no turbulence, there's no head shake, there's nothing. And if I release it, Now you can see the head shake in the cockpit. Alright, so what we're going to do now is, let's see here, let's set our flaps for departure, and nav lights and taxi lights can go on, and let's release the parking brake, head to the runway and see what happens. Alright, so release the parking brake, and let's go. Alright, we are now approaching the runway. Let's go ahead and turn on the strobes, turn off taxi, turn on our landing lights. Right, and let's make a turn here. Alright, we are now at runway 4, and let's go ahead and give it full power. And let's notice what happens in terms of the effects. Right, I'm just gonna put my hands off the mouse. Let's do full power. And about 60 knots. Really takes off on its own. Alright. Now as you can see, there is a bit of wind turbulence. Now, let me move the camera a bit up here. Yeah. And now you can see how the effects of the weather are acting on the aircraft. And this is all ChasePlane. Here, let me release the mouse again. There we go. You get that shake. Alright, let me take you to the cinematic mode. So now we are in cinematic mode. We can retract our flaps. Right, let's request a different angle. There we go. Okay, there's another thing I want to show you guys. So let's switch to, there is this track aircraft. That's what I want to show you. So let's go to, let's say front view, and let's go to camera, and then let's say track aircraft. Now watch what happens as I move the mouse. Now the movement has changed to track the aircraft, and that is also something that is very useful if you're creating cinematic sequences. Well folks, this is what I wanted to share with you today. I hope that this was an insightful and useful video. If you would like to see a more advanced ChasePlane tutorial, please do let me know. Include your comments in the comments section below. Until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you all very soon. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.